Imagine a world where the power grid completely goes down. No electricity, no internet, and most importantly, no refrigerator. Within 48 hours, the food in your kitchen would begin to rot. But 100 years ago, our ancestors didn't have refrigerators. Yet, they kept meat, dairy, and vegetables fresh for weeks, sometimes even months. How did they do it without a single watt of electricity? Today, we are diving deep into the lost, forgotten secrets of food preservation that modern society has completely erased. These are not just survival hacks. These are brilliant, low-cost methods used by communities like the Amish that you can use right now to keep your food fresh for a week or more. Let's unlock the secrets. Our first stop takes us to the harsh, burning deserts of Africa, where electricity is still a luxury. Hundreds of years ago, people invented a device called the Zeer pot, or the pot-in-pot refrigerator. It's incredibly simple. You take a large clay pot, put a layer of wet sand at the bottom, and place a smaller clay pot inside it. You fill the space between the two pots with more sand and pour water over it. Finally, you cover the top with a wet cloth. How does it work? Physics. As the water evaporates through the porous clay, it pulls the heat away from the inner pot. This drops the internal temperature drastically, sometimes up to 15 degrees Celsius, lower than the outside world. Inside a Zeer pot, vegetables like tomatoes, carrots, and leafy greens stay crisp and fresh for up to 2 weeks. The only rule? You just need to add water twice a day. If you look at old American homesteads, you'll notice a small door leading underground, away from the main house. This is a root cellar. While the weather above ground changes drastically from freezing winter to boiling summer, the earth just a few feet below maintains a constant cool temperature, usually between 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, 7 to 12 degrees Celsius. But it wasn't just about digging a hole. Our ancestors knew the secret of food compatibility. For example, you should never store apples and potatoes together. Apples release ethylene gas, which causes potatoes to sprout and rot quickly. Instead, potatoes were stored in dark, sandy bins, while root vegetables like carrots were literally buried in boxes of dry sand to prevent moisture loss. Using this method, carrots and potatoes can last all winter without losing their crunch. But what about milk, butter, and meat? These are the first things to spoil. Without a fridge, how did people prevent deadly bacteria from growing? The answer was simple: salt and exclusion of air. Before refrigeration, meat was heavily rubbed with coarse salt. Salt draws out the moisture from the meat. Since bacteria need moisture to survive, the meat becomes a dead zone for germs. This is how traditional bacon and cured meats were made. For dairy, like butter, they used the water submersion technique, or the French butter bell. By placing butter in a container inverted into a small pool of water, they created an airtight seal. Oxygen couldn't reach the butter, preventing it from going rancid. It stays perfectly spreadable and fresh on the counter for weeks. Sometimes, the best way to preserve food is to let good bacteria fight the bad bacteria. This is the science of fermentation. Long before refrigeration, every culture had its own version of fermented food. The Germans had sauerkraut, the Koreans had kimchi, and ancient sailors had pickled vegetables. By submerging vegetables in a simple saltwater brine, you encourage the growth of lactobacillus. This good bacteria produces lactic acid, making the environment too acidic for harmful food-spoiling bacteria to survive. Not only does this keep vegetables edible for months, but it also increases their vitamin content. It's a living preservation method that requires zero electricity. In our modern world, we have become completely dependent on the hum of the refrigerator. But as history shows us, nature provides us with all the tools we need to survive and thrive. Whether it's the evaporation power of a clay pot, the cooling embrace of the earth, or the protective shield of salt, These traditional hacks prove that self-reliance is the ultimate superpower. Next time your power goes out, or if you just want to cut down your electricity bill, try one of these methods. Which of these ancient methods surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more forgotten history and survival hacks, and we'll see you in the next video.